I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. So when was the AMA organized/founded? The American Medical Association was founded on May 7th, 1847. This was due because Dr. Nathan S. Davis called for a national medical convention in 1845. The convention later led to the establishment of the American Medical Association. It also played a crucial role in the development of medicine in the United States. So in 1905, they established a council to set standards for drug manufacturing and advertising. In 1961, they recommended that a nationwide vaccination using the Sabina oral vaccine against polio. And then in 2005, they worked with 129 other healthcare groups, which eventually resulted in the passing and signing of the Patient Safety and Quality Improvement Act.
All right, so there's lots of history behind the American Medical Association. Can you guys hear me? Nod? Okay, awesome. Just making sure. But it was founded by Dr. Nathan S. Davis, and he was actually born in New York, and he worked and lived on a farm until he was about 16 years old. And then when he was 17, he began mastering medicine under the apprenticeship of a guy named Dr. Daniel Clark. And then throughout his life, he continued to gain knowledge and gain the experience that he needed. And after the AMA was established, he was elected twice as the president of the association. And he's won various awards for his work in the medical field and in science. And he's actually he has a college that's named after him in Chicago. Some of the history from the AMA is in 1906, the AMA published the first American Medical Directory, listing over 128,000 licensed physicians in the U.S. and in Canada. And years later, they opened an office in Washington, D.C. And then 7 years after that, the Education and Research Foundation of the association was established to help medical schools meet expenses and to help medical students. And then just throughout the years, they've done various other things. They didn't have room to put them all down there, just most of the major ones that they've helped out with in the medical world and helping practices and physicians.
Okay, so the organizational structure. So the American Medical Association is composed of the House of Delegates, delegates. And they basically are like the policy makers of the AMA. They meet 2 times a year to establish policies on health, medical, professional, and governance matters. They are the communications, so between like the policy and membership league. And then also underneath that, within the House of Delegates, there are councils. And so the first council is Constitution and Bylaws, and they recommend change to the AMA Constitution and bylaws and helps Board of Trustees review rules, regulations, and procedures of AMA sections. And then ethical and judicial affairs. So they maintain and update the Code of Medical Ethics. And then on legislation, it reviews proposed federal legislation and recommends appropriate action in accordance with AMA policy. And then on long-range planning and development, they evaluate long-range objectives and policy development process to make recommendations on the issues related to the association's vision, goals, and priorities. And then medical education, they just recommend educational policies and the appointment of representatives to medical education organizations. Medical services, they evaluate the social and economic aspects of medical care and recommend policies on these issues to the AMA House of Delegates. And then finally, on science and public health, works to represent the belief that scientific evidence is the basis of improving patient care quality. And then who do they represent and who is eligible to be a member? So they mostly represent, a lot of people think that they represent just the physicians, but in reality they represent the federal government as a whole. This is because the AMA made an agreement with Healthcare Financing Administration that made CPT the main billing system that could be used for Medicare. And then the AMA is open to physicians who possess the United States degree of Doctor of Medicine or Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, residents who are physicians who possess the degree of MD or DO or a recognized international equivalent. These are ones who are serving in residencies or fellowships. And then finally, medical students. So they're the ones that are currently enrolled in educational programs provided by a college of medicine or osteopathic medicine.
So the American Medical Association is a professional organization because it's a nonprofit group. They receive much of their revenue through membership fees and corporate grants and the sale of their services, which are the journal that they publish. It's a group looking to further the interests of a profession and individuals in that profession to the public, trying to get their message out. It's a group looking to further the interests of a profession and individuals in that profession to the public, trying to get their message out. It's a group looking to further the interests of and I think it's also an advocacy organization because the advocacy organization is known as a lobby group or campaign groups to get awareness and knowledge out to the people. And the American Medical Association has joined forces with political campaigns, and they shape government policy that affects doctors and patients. Has joined forces with political campaigns, and they shape government policy that what percent of all physicians in the U.S. are members? About 1/3 of the nation's doctors are members, and throughout the years, their membership hasn't always been high. They've struggled through the years to maintain their membership, but it's still a driving force for information for the public. But recently, membership numbers are up because of medical and resident students joining, and the American Medical Association they're listening to the doctors for their concerns. The American Medical Association they're listening to the doctors for their concerns.